how you prepare for a golf tournament?
Well, I hit balls maybe 20 minutes, putt a little bit, smoke 4 or 5 cigarettes, drink 3 Diet Cokes, and go to the first tee. Some days I won't even go to the range.
Welcome into another edition of the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. We come to you every single day as we drop new episodes here at 10 a.m. We are in the Puck Sports Studios, which is built by Limbach Lumber, family-owned and serving the Northwest since 1930. Northwest premier supplier of specialized lumber and moldings. Summer is here. That means it's deck and fence season. Get that new deck. Get that new fence. And let the fine folks there at Limbach Lumber help you out. Give them a call at 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbachlumber.com. Puck Sports Studios built by Limbach Lumber. The Daily Puck Drop every day at 10 a.m. I know we threw a little curveball at you yesterday because we went live with the great Jim Moore. So we did the live Daily Puck Drop at 10 a.m. and then we released it later. And I heard from a few of you getting a little angry, like, hey, where's the Daily Puck Drop at 10 o'clock? Now, here's the deal. We may do a little bit more of that as we kind of inch closer to football season. So I would like to hear some feedback from all of you. You can send me an email. Contact me there at pucksports.com. Email is simple, puck@pucksports. Also, yeah, you can YouTube. Just leave a comment down there. Tweet me, Puck2040 there on X, Puck2040 on Instagram. You can also follow me on TikTok at Puck_sports, and on Facebook, just search Jason Puckett. We put all of our clips from all of our shows up there. But what I want to know from you is, you desire to have more live shows like we did on Wednesday's Daily Puck Drop, because we did 2 live shows on Wednesday. One was the Daily Puck Drop with Jim Moore, which was a long one, an hour. Try not to go that long, but there's a lot to say. And then the other one was we did Ryan Divish, which we've done in the past because it was a day game. So rather than recording beforehand and really, not that it would be obsolete, but it's, would have been new information coming out, after that game yesterday. So we said, we'll record it afterwards. Let's do it live. But then we podcast all of that stuff up there so you can watch and listen to later. But I'm curious, the appetite, if we were to do it on a more frequent basis, especially with the Daily Puck Drop, it would thumbs up or thumbs down. And this might be split. There might be a majority. I don't know. I can give you my reasons why I would like to do the Daily Puck Drop live, and then we obviously would come out later. We would release it probably around, noon or so. A bunch of different ideas. We could start the Daily Puck Drop earlier. We could go at 9 in the morning, go live on X and on YouTube. And there will be another way in which you can listen to it live. I will probably announce that coming up really soon, and we're super excited about it. I don't want to jinx anything to make sure it does work, but there will be a new way to listen, which most of you are real comfortable already listening to this way. And so hopefully I'll have that announcement coming up here shortly. But I like doing it live and then, podcasting it later. And I'll just tell you why, because, I spent 23 years in doing live radio. There is a little bit of that live element that I miss, that you crave. It's a little bit different than when you just record it and play it back later. People that have done this would kind of understand that. There's a certain juice and action to doing. I always liked it. I always called it like live performance theater. It's like that, right? It's, when you do it live, you can't really F it up that much. Now, I can F this up, which I do pretty much every single day, but there's a little bit different energy that when you do it live. So I would just ask you, you guys have been great and have been so massively supportive of this endeavor and this project. So, and great with feedback, good and bad. And I read all of it. I really do try to interact with you guys as much as I possibly can. So I don't know. Let me know would there be an appetite for the Daily Puck Drop to go live and then recorded later, or do you just like it just recorded, drops at 10, and that's how you like it, and that's how you want it to move forward? I don't know about the guests. I've gone back and forth whether or not we want to do more of the guests live, or do we just want to have them, the recorded element of it. I think if we did go live with the daily puck drop, do I move it up an hour? And then thus, I can turn it around and then have it available at 10. But you tell me. I'm curious, open feedback. I'd like to hammer this out and play around with, I think, the schedule as much as I can before we get into football season. Because football season, that's going to ramp it up. I mean, September is going to be insane. I mean, everything's starting, right? Seahawks, the new season with Mike McDonald. We're going to get into that today. His first day training camp as a head coach. The Mariners will no doubt still be in this. And despite what has happened here recently, they'll still be in September unless it's a real epic collapse. And then you got college football, and just what a crazy fall this is going to be. It's, from my perspective as a Washington State fan, it's going to be weird and odd, and it's, you're left out of the party. And to watch everybody else have these, like Husky fans and Oregon fans, and have all these, and all, the schools, the Arizona schools, to be in these bigger conferences, to be part of the bigger college football landscape and party. That's hard. I'm just speaking for myself as a Cougar fan. That's going to be hard to watch. Not to say there's anything wrong with the Mountain West and those teams, but it's the little kids table. And some of you are probably saying, well, that's where you guys belong. But yeah, that's going to be weird, really weird going over there, sitting in my seats over there at Martin Stadium and watching these teams that come in. And then on the flip side of it is to tune on Saturday and watch Washington play, Penn State and Iowa and all these other Big Ten teams, and hear the Big Ten, commentators talk about them. That's just going to be really, really surreal, but massively interesting. I mean, it's why we're upping our fall programming. And we're going to have so much programming starting in September. Some of it I've announced already. Some of it I can't yet, but I've already announced. Like, if you're a Husky fan and Cougar fans, don't worry about it. I got you covered. I got us covered. But for Husky fans, I mean, we're going to have a roundtable starting in the fall. That first week of September. We'll record one right before the opener, but that first week of September we'll start. Jordan Reffett, former Husky defensive tackle, will be with us, and then Elise Woodward, sideline reporter for Washington. So we'll have the Huskies covered on that angle. For the Cougars, it's the old we're getting the band back together. Me, Jim Moore, and Paul Sorensen, and we got some fabulous sponsors that are going to be a part of that. And then, of course, our Seahawks coverage with Rob Staten from Seahawks Draft Blog, Mike Garofolo of the NFL Network. We're still trying to hammer a few more things down there with the Seahawks, but then you got the baseball. I mean, there's a lot going on in September. So I'll wrap it up with this. I'm trying to still kind of figure out exactly the schedule that I want to do starting in the fall, and how to marry the live aspect of what we're doing to the podcast kind of situation, right? In terms of, how do you marry the both, and how do you have both, kind of survive in this whole brand new media adventure? So, I mean, going back and forth on it, but you guys have all been great and supportive and awesome watching and listening. And I just want to say real quick, thank you to all, for everyone. And thank you to all of our guests that come on, and our sponsors and everybody. It has been, I don't know how many months we're in this. What are we, 4 months into this? I can't do this really quick. We started April 1st, April, May, June, July. Yeah, 4 months. 4 months. Feels like 4 years. I ain't going to lie about that. All right, the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. We'll go about 30 minutes here, and then we'll get you set for your day here in the world of sports. It's a Thursday. That means Rob Staten's coming up later, and also Mike Garofolo. So be sure to tune in and look out for that on all the platforms that you digest or ingest this fine podcast here at Puck Sports. Again, all that content is up at pucksports.com. All right, I'm done with the infomercial. Sorry about that. I know it was like 9 minutes and I'm rambling. My apologies. All right, Mariners debacle. Let's get into it. Live show yesterday with Ryan Divish. In case you missed it, we recorded it right after the final game there against the Angels, in which they were swept. Just a disaster, an absolute disaster of a series, and a disaster start to the second half of the season. M starters against the Angels. 19 and 2/3 innings, 12 hits, 1 earned run. And they lost all 3. How is that effing possible? How? And a lot of people sometimes call the Mariner fans soft. I get it. But boy, you know what? Tip of the cap to everybody that was in attendance yesterday and who have been in attendance for a while, because they let everyone on that team hear how they feel.
Center field, this will do it. Moniak's under it, and the Angels beat the Mariners for the 6th consecutive time. Mariners lose a game to Houston in the standings. They've lost 8 of the last 9, 20 of the last 29, and they're hearing it from the fans.
Yeah, showing their displeasure.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Blow. They are showing their displeasure. Dave Sims, Mike Blowers, they're on the call. Big thanks to Root Sports for that. Yeah, those fans let them have it. Let them have it yesterday, and that has been a common theme in every game in that series. They let them have it, even before that. I get the reputation the Mariner fans have as being soft. They don't care. They'll just show up, and you should speak with by not showing up. Hell, I mean, I even did that years and years ago. Just boycott the damn team. But stuff like that they need to hear. The ownership needs to hear that. The front office needs to hear that. It's just not acceptable of what is going on. And I know they threw a AAA team out there, and they got injuries all over the place, and a lot of that stuff is out of their control. But the construction of this team, the failure of it has been set in motion. Not recently, but this is months ago. This is not just this last offseason. This is 2 off seasons. And again, we talk so much about whose fault is it? Ownership, Scott Service, front office. I mean, the players. I mean, it's all their faults, right? It's everybody. You throw everybody into the pot and stir it around. You decide whose fault is it the most. I mean, I'll say it again. I'll just repeat what I said yesterday. Ownership is the number one problem. Okay, the number one problem. And I'm going to play this audio from Divish yesterday that I think illustrates why the ownership is the number one problem. We were talking about the Divish and I on yesterday's live show, which again is podcast up everywhere on all the platforms. Go back and listen to it. It's great stuff. Is the future of Scott Service, right? Would they potentially on their off day do anything with Scott Service? And Divish didn't think so, but then he kind of drove the car down the road of him not being happy here in the last few years when they've signed contracts, because for people who don't know, they are in both he and Dipoto are in the last year of their contracts. And then it led Divish to say this.
There was, I think the last time Scott got last 2 times Scott got contract extensions, he was a little miffed about the money. I mean, you look at this, he's been there since 2015 or whatever. One of the longest tenured managers in Major League Baseball. He's probably one of the lowest paid. That's typical of the Mariners organization in general.
Typical in terms of just paying everyone, or typical of paying a manager?
Oh, everyone. Yeah, they don't pay. That's why they lose coaches.
That again shouldn't surprise anyone to hear that.
And that goes back to the Chuck Armstrong days of the people that work their asses off every day here. And Chuck's like, well, you got to work in baseball, so you got to like it.
Now, what I want to say and how this falls back on ownership, and ownership to me has always been the number one problem. Now, when Ryan talks about coaches not being paid, underpaid, why they lose coaches, why they lose people that work on the actual baseball side of things, let's take it a step further. It's just not them. It's the people that work behind the scenes. It's the people that work in all the different departments that you have no idea about. People that Ryan and I know that make nothing. That when you would hear what they would make, you would be stunned and shocked what they are paid. But at the same time, then asked of all the responsibilities that they have to have and all the work that they have to have. And those people look at that company and that organization and go, you are worth $2.2 billion. You have $1 billion owner, but yet you guys can't pay us damn near a living wage. So it's just not what they don't spend on the players and what they don't spend on the coaches. It's what they don't spend on the people that work within their organization. That's why ownership is the number one problem with this whole thing. You can fire Scott Service. You can fire Jerry Dipoto and the entire front office. I am telling you, and I'll tell you, I'm blue in the face. This will not change until that group is removed. Absolutely removed. They are not all in like they say they are. They've never been. They've never been all in. They operate on the cheap. They are pulling in revenue every single year. And then they deny it. And they lie about it. And then the rare times they ever do an interview, we have people that just take them for their word. Oh, okay. And don't present actual like numbers and stats and research from like Forbes and like, well, this says you made profit. You know, when I heard John Stanton one time say, well, that we just disagree with Forbes. Okay, then what's the number? I'm not going to tell you. Then why would anybody believe you? No one does. No one does. But that's just, what should you do? Should you boycott? I can tell anybody what to do at a boycott. You know, we go to the games. I love baseball, and you know, we're all hypocritical about it. It's, you know, are the small things of like, we don't buy a bunch of stuff when we go into the stadium. Well, yeah, is that part because we're trying to send a message? Is my family trying to send a message to ownership? Not really. The reason I don't buy a lot of stuff in there anymore is it's just too damn expensive. I just can't afford it. I'm not going to pay $18 for chicken strips and $15 for a beer. It's just not worth it to me anymore. And to sit there and wait in those lines. You know, we go, every game we go to, we do the same thing. I walk down Occidental. There is a hot dog stand there that is $6 for a hot dog, chips, and a drink. It's the best deal in the world. Or it's like $5.50. You can't get anything like that inside that stadium. Then I buy my peanuts out there, my kettle corn, and I walk in. Yeah, and have a beer or two, but that's it. But it's I'm not, you know, consciously going in there. I'm not going to spend any money. I mean, I bought a ticket, so I've spent money to support them. But yeah, you know, the problem with this group is they see the crowd that comes in all the time and the great turnout that they've had this season, and this is what leads them to operating the way they operate, because they know they don't really have to invest all that much, because we all keep coming out, and they're just not serious about winning. They're not serious about winning a championship, and I'm talking about the ownership. Now, I'm not giving Jerry Dipoto a free pass at all. It's not like he's been handed a payroll that is the Oakland Athletics or the Tampa Bay Rays or the Cincinnati Reds or all these other bottom feeding teams in terms of revenue. Okay? He's not. Now, could he be handed a much larger payroll? And could the ownership group afford it? Yes. But he's been given a payroll in which he could build a better team. And he has failed. Offensively has failed to deliver. And he's failed for 9 years to deliver. Have they been good with pitching? Has he nailed the pitching? Yes, absolutely. But when it's come to building an offense and going out and making trades, signing free agents, he's failed everywhere. Everywhere. The Winker trade, terrible. I can't remember, was it a trade or a signing? Colton Wong, terrible. Mitch Haniger bringing him back, terrible. Mitch Garver, terrible. Polanco, terrible. On and on and on. None of it has worked. So he doesn't get a free pass, even though that we put all the blame on ownership. He doesn't. Jerry Dipoto needs to be better at his job. Needs to be better at acquiring talent with the payroll that he does have. So that is on him. Where they're at right now with the injuries and putting out a AAA team. That's on him. He built the team. I'm fascinated by the discourse by some who feel that even after 9 years, he should be retained. If they don't make the playoffs this year, you fire all of them. They all lose their jobs. They don't get a 10th year. And I really don't understand how anyone could argue that point. Now, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite. Okay, they should clean house. But my main issue is with the ownership group. So I don't really trust them to bring in a new group. So we are a tortured fan base. I'll tell you that right now. We are damn near we are a tortured fan base. But do not give a free pass to Jerry Dipoto. Please do not. And don't take it from don't think I'm giving him a free pass because I put the majority of the blame on ownership. I do, and I've just maintained that forever. But I mean, he's not crying poor of a roster or a budget that he's been given. Okay. The moves that he has made to improve this team offensively have not worked out. And I don't know how heavy-handed he is in the day-to-day operations of the team either. You know, how many decisions are they making? And I know he and Service are in lockstep together in terms of a lot of decision making, but you know, how much is he making the in-game decisions? I don't really know. I mean, that was a reputation and a criticism he had when he was in with the Angels. But one thing to point out, and Divish and I talked about this yesterday on the show, and why they could potentially move on from Service, and we just speculated if they would. Don't let this narrative that Scott Service and Jerry Dipoto are tied at the hip. They are not. Yes, they are friends. Yes, they've worked together for many, many years. It's not like if you get rid of one, you got to get rid of both. That's not the case. They have had plenty of disagreements about the team. Plenty. All right. So I wouldn't, we talked about it yesterday. Scott Service didn't want to play Jesse Winker. He hated Jesse Winker. But yet he was told you got to play him. Put him out there. Ryan and I also discussed, there is no way that Scott Service wanted to get rid of Suarez. As Divish pointed out, he may have understood it. Didn't want to get rid of him. The guy was a team leader. The guy was everything to that team. Think they need you think they could use a personality like him right now with the tailspin they're in? Yeah. So just that's a narrative that keeps being put out there that they are just, in lockstep together. And that's just simply not the case. We'll see what happens. As we record this on Thursday, I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think they're going to make a move. I don't think they're going to fire anyone, but I think it was on the table, at least to potentially think about. I think the next, week here until Tuesday is going to be fascinating. Will they buy? Will they sell? What are they going to do? I don't know. I don't know. Can they make a move? There's the rumors of Vlad Guerrero. John Heyman shot those down today on MLB Network, even though he's the one who brought it up, I think, yesterday. But he also said that, today that they don't think that, or he doesn't think that they'll move him. Will Toronto? It's what Jim Duquette has been telling us, for weeks, month or so, that they're not going to move on from him. What options are there out there? Divish, told us yesterday, White Sox have been scouting the Mariners, have been scouting their minor league system down in Tacoma. Obviously, that would be about, surrounding Luis Robert Jr. Team you got to worry about, even though Houston's leading the series right now by a game. Texas is now 3 games back of Houston. Their pitchers are getting healthy. Their team's getting healthy. They're 2 games back of Seattle. What move are they going to make? Who in this division, in this arms race of the division, 3 teams within 3 games of each other, who's going to make the significant move to put them over the top? We'll have we're going to do a live trade deadline show next Tuesday. TBD in terms of the timing of it. but we're going to try and do it an hour leading up to the deadline, 2 to 3, maybe 1:30 to 3, depending on some of the schedules for hopefully Jim Duquette and Ryan Divish. But we're going to try and go live here on X and on YouTube leading up into the deadline. We'll see if the Mariners can do anything. All right, that was a lot on the Mariners. My bad. I had to vent a little bit. We're all just massive fans of this team, and I want them to do so well. But it's so frustrating, and I think the level. I saw this on X yesterday. Now that was right. I'm not sure who made the point. I think the booing, the vitriol that you see on social media is not because anyone hates the team. It's because I think a lot of people, whoever wrote this said this, realize how close they are to being really good. If they could just improve the offense. And you are wasting away the talent of Kirby and Gilbert and Miller and Wu, Castillo to a degree. Would they trade Castillo? God, I only brought that up because of how this ownership group operates, and they look at the money they owe him here for the next few years, and he would be an enticing trade piece if Dipoto wanted to move. I mean, I wouldn't let Dipoto move him. But many of you want Castillo moved. I don't want him touched. I want to have the most dominating pitching staff in baseball. I do. Because they aren't a bottom feeder. They can go up by more players, more. It's just that ownership group's got to do it. All right. I'm done. Over to Seahawks. Man, what a weird day it was, wasn't it? It was a weird day to see them open up training camp without Pete Carroll. Glorious day. I'll tell you this about Mike McDonald. He hasn't missed just an arm day. Jesus, man. He's huge, that guy. Like a fire hydrant. He looks like a younger, more in shape, better-looking version of Divish. Don't you think? The piece of news that came out yesterday, I mean, everything was, it's the first day of camp. Everyone's excited. He used bro a bunch of times. I thought that was cool. He talked about the health of Abe Lucas. I don't know. It didn't sound all that optimistic about Abe Lucas. Here's Mike McDonald.
It's tough with Abe. I mean, the thing with Abe that's tough is the guy works incredibly hard. And so it's a process right now. Timetable, it's like I can't tell you, but we're looking at it. We're trying to get there as fast as we can. I think it'd be fair to say that we were hoping to go a little faster up to this point. But, we're in a process of bringing him back. I mean, we have a plan for him, but, it's just I can't tell you right now on when exactly he'll be back. But, as those things start to become clearer, we'll let you know for sure. So we're not trying to pull a fast one on you. Not out here, are you concerned that, things could go and take a bad turn? Yeah, you're always thinking about that. But.
Yeah, so, again, that was kind of it was a follow-up question. Are you concerned that he wouldn't be ready for the season? He said, yeah, and we go back to last year when they were talking about the chronic knee issue. And this is just going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed that he's going to be okay. But again, you can hear the frustration a little bit. And not frustrated at Abe Lucas. I think just frustrated at the process of, man, we thought that he would be back by now. And, your options, that's why you went out and got the option of George Fant in the offseason, who has had a bunch of starts underneath his belt. Serviceable player, obviously was here, got a bunch of starts. But God, you'd like to see Abe Lucas be able to get back and be healthy. Because as we said yesterday, and we're making fun of ourselves, where Jim and I were talking on yesterday's DPD, it's all about the offensive line for this team. All of it. And I know you're, well, thanks, great hard-hitting analysis. But it's the same storyline every year for every team, but especially for these guys. I think it was interesting yesterday that McClendon Curtis, who has been primarily playing a lot of guard, did slip in and play a little right tackle, was backing up, I think, George Fant over there. Again, just this is the only thing for me I'm focusing in on. I know what we got in the quarterback. I know what we got in the wide receivers. I do want to see how the linebackers play. The defensive line, I think, will be solid and be an improvement. Secondary, I think, is good. I'm just, the only thing I'm concerned about is their offensive line. That's it. I want to know, can Charles Cross have a better season? What Lakeland Tomlinson, what's his impact going to be on the team? Who's going to be the right guard? Is it going to be Anthony Bradford? Is it going to be Christian Haynes? And then the health of Abe Lucas. And then what are they going to do at center? McDonald acknowledged yesterday they brought in Connor Williams, passed his physical. They really like him. Probably going to take some more visits. He played guard for the Cowboys, played center for the Dolphins. Hinted at if he comes in here, he's playing center. So they're not, they're bringing in a guy right now. That means that they don't like Oluwatimi and they don't like Nick Harris. That's the best way to put it, because they think that they can improve in those areas, and they probably can. And this is just the curse of Max Unger. The organization cannot find a center since they traded away Max Unger. But it was good to see out there. Tempo was good, it looked like, and all the people that were out there watching it, reporting on it. The fast-paced practice, physical, a little bit more serious, which is going to be the difference between McDonald and Carroll, and that's a good thing. It's okay to be different, and you hear several players, saying that he's not like Carroll. He shouldn't be like Carroll. He shouldn't come in here and try to do what Pete Carroll did, because he's not. He's Mike McDonald, and it's just funny that a guy who's 37 is more serious and like more old school in a way how he portrays himself than someone like Carroll, who's double his age almost and is running out there like a kid. Really cool. Yesterday, the news came out, I think it was after practice or during practice. Julian Love got a contract extension worth up to $36 million, 3-year contract extension. Love's a stud, man. He's just exactly the type of guy you want on the back end of your defense. McDonald has sung his praises. Everyone has. He's just the professional, knows what he's doing. I love when McDonald said he plays in slow motion in terms of the game is really slow for him because he sees everything. And this defense needs a great guy in the back end to call everything out. Their safety positions have been, a rotating door and of players, and I thought Diggs was okay. Adams, of course, was a disaster. Love was a great find by this organization, and great job of rewarding him with a new 3-year contract extension. All right, the other bit of news coming out, not of Seahawks camp, but coming out in the world of sports yesterday, was that the NBA TV deal has been finalized. Now, TNT, Warner Brothers, had like 5 days to match. They claimed they matched Amazon's deal. However, the NBA said, no, you did not match at all. And we are going with the ESPN, ABC, NBC, and the Amazon deal. Now, TNT says they're going to sue them, violation of their contract, so we'll see what happens with that. But now that the TV deal is signed, we're on to expansion, forming a committee and all that kind of stuff. Should happen here in the fall. That's what Adam Silver said last week. Last week, I caught up with Jerry Brewer, formerly of the Seattle Times, longtime columnist, now a columnist for the Washington Post. He's been covering the NBA forever, loves the NBA, was here, columnist for the Times when the Sonics left. And then also Gary Washburn, who covers the Celtics for the Boston Globe. But he was, for 5 years, the beat reporter for the Sonics for the Seattle PI. And he was here for the last few years, and he was here for the last year of the Sonics. So I had him on last week. We recorded it. We released it yesterday. And we said, now as we turn our attention to the NBA expansion, give me a timeline. Best case scenario for a timeline. What do you think the best case scenario timeline is?
The best case scenario would be the start of the 27-28 season. I think the best case scenario is the first draft pick of the new team is in the 27 draft. Anything sooner than that is a bit of a crash timeline. And in order to get it sooner than that, I think you would probably have to make a deal that is financially foolish if you're trying to run a business.
Ever since Climate Pledge built it, like 4 or 5 years ago, Seattle's return, and then obviously with Vegas, they're fascinated with Vegas. So to me, I'd say 27-28 best case scenario. Because I just think everything is politics in this thing. Nothing happens fast in the league.
Yeah, that's my podcast with Jerry Brewer of the Washington Post and also Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe. It's up at pucksports.com right now, on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify. Give it a listen. It's a great information. These guys, they both believe Seattle's going to get a team. I don't like the timeline. I don't like 27-28. I want 25-26. And then I was thinking that 26-27 is the more realistic one, but they think 27-28 is the more realistic one. They say there will be competition. That, yes, they do. Seattle will get it. but that, keep an eye on Mexico City. It's a market they want to get into. It's a demographic they want to tap into. There's a lot of wealth there, a lot of money. The population's bigger. How much money are they going to squeeze out of these expansion teams? They both agree that's going to be probably about $5 billion. I thought what was curious to hear them both offer reservation about Las Vegas and why the NBA may pause on a Vegas expansion. We all thought it was rubber stamped for Vegas. But I think to hear them both at least present facts and present an opinion why maybe they would push back on Vegas was interesting. I'd go listen to it. It's a really good in-depth about expansion, the future, the timeline, a little bit of history involved in that as well. Again, that NBA expansion podcast with Jerry Brewer and Gary Washman is up at pucksports.com, also on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. All right, let's wrap up the Daily Puck Drop with Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damage affects your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917 or visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Tell them Puck sent you. So again, you have any damage to your house, your commercial property, your house, Trent, who owns the company, Derek, who's there, they will take care of you from top to bottom. They're going to handle all of it. Local company here in Ballard. So let those guys, let Trent and Derek and others take care of you there. Restoration One of North Seattle. Again, that number, tell them Puck sent you. They'll love that. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Well, Big Ten Media Days happening. Washington goes today. Yesterday, UCLA went. And this is Bruins head coach, Deshaun Foster.
I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA. It's us and USC. We
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just basically excited, really.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, boom goes the dynamite.
Any questions?
Oh, my God. It was so uncomfortable. You got to go watch it. I'll put it up on Puck 2040 on X. Maybe I'll throw it up on the website at pucksports.com as well. I'll do it there. It is so uncomfortable. Good luck to you, Bruins. Have fun, you idiots, playing in the Midwest. You'll be coming back soon, guaranteed. My God, if I was a Bruins fan, that'd be miserable. All right, moving on Hey, What the Puck. Robbie Ray's first game, huh? That was a real kick in the nuts for M's fans. And I'm not saying he's not going to help the team because, listen, they don't need pitching. They need hitting. But you got nothing in return for Robbie Ray. I mean, nothing. Nothing. And he goes out yesterday against the Doyers in his first game since having Tommy John. 5 innings, no hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. Kick in the nuts. Robbie Ray in his tight pants. And again, it's not that you want Robbie Ray back. It's that you should have got more for Robbie Ray than Mitch Haniger. All right. Hey, What the Puck. Also, coming up tomorrow morning, we're going to record early in the morning, I believe. But we're going to have Chris Egan on. Okay. No one else is going to have Chris Egan on every single week from Paris covering the Olympics. Let me repeat that again. Loud for people to hear. Certain people. No one is going to have Chris Egan on every week from the Paris Olympics, except NBC, of course, and King. So Chris Egan will be joining us tomorrow. We'll record him early in the morning, and he'll set the scene there in Paris for the Summer Olympics. I can't wait to catch up with him and how much wine he's had. Has he picked up smoking? I'd like to know. I encouraged him to pick up smoking while he's in Paris. I think it'd be good for him. It sheds a weight a little bit. Red wine. He did a live shot the other day, and he just for his snack, he just had a big baguette in his bag. Just an idiot. Also on Friday, Jim Moore is back. We'll have Egan, Divish. Voicemails are open. Okay, Mariner fans, Seahawks fans, you're frustrated with the M's. You're excited about the Seahawks. I need to hear from Pete Carroll. Where's Pete Carroll? Where's Dugar? Where's Jamal Adams? The voicemails are open. We've got a few this week, but we need more voicemails. We play the best ones coming up tomorrow at the end of the DPD. You can leave it. Phone numbers, real easy. Write it down, 425-577-7272. 425-577-7272. The easiest place to go see it and click on it is at pucksports.com. Upper right-hand corner, you'll see the voicemail line. All right, that's it for Hey, What the Puck? Again, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Give them a call at 206-817-8917 or visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. So, Hey, What the Puck is done. The Daily Puck Drop is in the books for a Thursday. Check it out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. That's where all of our content is. So please like, subscribe, leave a comment on all of those platforms. It helps immensely. And, of course, all of our content is up at pucksports.com as well. Follow us on X at Puck2040. Same thing for Instagram, Puck2040. On TikTok, it's at Puck_sports. And on Facebook. Puck Sports Studios, of course, built by Lindback Lumber. Another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. Can't thank you enough for tuning in, watching, and listening. Your support means the world to me and my family. All right. Coming up a little bit later today, episodes with Rob Staten for Seahawks Draft Block. I can't spit that out. 3, 2, 1, start over. Episode coming up later with Rob Staten, SeahawksDraftBlog.com, and Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network. Trying to see if my coffee has any booze in it. My God, man. Spit it out, you idiot. All right. Until then, we'll talk to you later. And as always, we promise to be better.
Shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!